Imagine you are standing near a set of trolley tracks. It is a normal day, but then you see something terrible. A trolley is speeding down the track, completely out of control. The driver cannot stop it, the brakes have failed. Ahead on the track there are 5 workers. They are busy with their work, and do not see the trolley coming. They are wearing headphones and cannot hear the warnings. It is clear that if the trolley continues on its path, all 5 of them will be hit and killed. This is a tragic situation, and it seems like nothing can be done to prevent this awful outcome. The scene unfolds quickly, leaving very little time to think. But then you notice something else. You are standing next to a lever that can switch the trolley to a different track. You look down this other track and you see there is 1 worker on it. This person is also unaware of the danger. The trolley is moving so fast that you have only a few seconds to make a decision. You have a choice. You can do nothing, and the trolley will continue on its current path and kill the 5 workers. Or, you could pull the lever. If you pull the lever, the trolley will switch to the side track. It will miss the 5 workers, but it will hit and kill the 1 worker. This is the famous thought experiment known as the trolley problem. It is not a real story, but a puzzle designed to make us think about what is right and what is wrong. It presents a very difficult choice, where there is no easy answer. Both options lead to a terrible result. One path leads to 5 deaths, and the other path leads to 1 death. You are the only person who can act. The responsibility falls on your shoulders to decide what happens next. The situation forces you to consider which outcome is better, or perhaps, which outcome is less bad. The question at the heart of this problem is simple to ask, but very hard to answer. What is the right thing to do in this situation? Should you pull the lever, or should you let the trolley continue on its course? There is no time to gather more information or to ask for advice. The decision is yours, and yours alone. Whatever you choose, someone will be harmed. This is what makes the trolley problem such a powerful and enduring ethical puzzle. It forces us to confront our own moral beliefs and the principles we use to guide our actions in difficult circumstances. Now, let us pause and think about this for a moment. Put yourself in that situation, standing by the lever. The sound of the runaway trolley fills the air. You see the 5 workers who are completely unaware of their impending fate. You also see the single worker on the other track, equally oblivious. What does your gut tell you to do? What is the first impulse that comes to your mind? Would you reach for the lever and pull it, diverting the trolley? Or would you step back, letting events unfold without your intervention? Take a moment to truly consider what you would do and why you would do it. This is not a test with a correct answer. People have very different and very strong feelings about this problem. When I ask my students this question, the classroom is almost always divided. Many people immediately say they would pull the lever. Their reasoning is often very clear and direct. They believe it is better for 1 person to die than for 5 people to die. For them, it is a simple matter of numbers. Saving 5 lives at the cost of 1 seems like the most logical and moral choice. They are focused on the consequences of the action, trying to produce the best possible outcome in a terrible situation. But many other people feel just as strongly that they would not pull the lever. They would choose to do nothing. Their reasoning is different. They believe that if they pull the lever, they are actively choosing to kill someone. Even though it saves 5 others, they would be directly responsible for the death of the 1 person on the side track. If they do nothing, the 5 workers will still die, but it will be because of the runaway trolley, not because of their direct action. For them, the act of killing is wrong, regardless of the consequences. They feel it is better not to get involved in a way that makes them a killer. So, we have a conflict between 2 important moral ideas. Is it more important to save as many lives as possible? Or is it more important to avoid actively causing someone's death? This is the core of the dilemma. Encouraging readers to think about their own choice is the first step in exploring our own moral landscape. There is no easy way out. Your decision reveals something important about what you value most when faced with a difficult ethical choice. What principles do you hold dear? Do you prioritize the outcome, or do you prioritize the nature of the action itself? Let's look more closely at the reasons for pulling the lever. The people who support this choice are often thinking about the consequences. This way of thinking is called consequentialism. It suggests that the morality of an action depends on its results. In the trolley problem, the choice is between 2 outcomes: 5 people die, or 1 person dies. A consequentialist would argue that the outcome where only one person dies is clearly better than the outcome where 5 people die. The action that leads to the least amount of harm is the most ethical one. Saving a net total of 4 lives is, from this perspective, the right thing to do. This argument is very persuasive for many people. It seems logical and practical. In a world full of difficult choices, trying to produce the best results for the greatest number of people sounds like a good rule to follow. This is the core idea of a philosophy called utilitarianism. Utilitarians believe that we should always act in a way that maximizes overall happiness or well-being, and minimizes suffering. In this case, the suffering caused by 1 death is less than the suffering caused by 5 deaths. Therefore, according to this view, pulling the lever is not just an option, it is a moral obligation. However, the people who would not pull the lever have a powerful argument too. Their reasoning is based on a different moral principle. This way of thinking is often called deontology. It argues that certain actions are just inherently right or wrong, regardless of their consequences. For these people, the act of intentionally killing an innocent person is fundamentally wrong. By pulling the lever, you are making a conscious decision to sacrifice one person for the sake of others. You are using that person as a means to an end, and this violates a fundamental moral duty not to harm others directly. This perspective emphasizes our duties and rules. The rule here might be, do not kill. If you do nothing, you are not violating this rule. The trolley is the cause of the deaths, not you. But if you pull the lever, you become an agent of death. You are the one who directs the harm toward that single individual. This feeling of personal responsibility is very strong for many. They would rather let a tragedy happen than become a participant in it. They believe that some lines should never be crossed, even if crossing them seems to lead to a better outcome in a particular situation. Now let's change the situation a little bit to test these principles. Imagine the same runaway trolley is about to kill 5 workers on the track. This time, you are not standing next to a lever, you are standing on a bridge overlooking the track. You see the trolley coming, and you know the 5 workers will die. Next to you on the bridge is a very large man. You realize that if you were to push this man off the bridge and onto the track below, his body is large enough to stop the trolley. He would die, but you would save the 5 workers. Would you push the man off the bridge? Again, take a moment to really think about this. The numbers are exactly the same as in the first scenario. It is a choice between 1 life and 5 lives. If you are a strict consequentialist who believes in saving the most lives, it seems the logical answer should be the same. Yes, you should push the man. The outcome is identical. 1 person dies to save 5. The net result is that 4 lives are saved. If you made your first decision based purely on the numbers, then consistency would seem to demand that you push the man. However, most people who said they would pull the lever in the first scenario have a very different reaction to this one. They find the idea of pushing the man off the bridge to be horrifying. When I ask my students this question, almost everyone says no, they would not push him. The thought of physically laying hands on another person and forcing them to their death feels entirely different from pulling a lever. It feels more personal, more direct, and more violent. The action itself seems monstrous, even if it is done to achieve a greater good. This change in response is what makes the trolley problem so interesting. The math is the same, but our moral intuition often changes dramatically. Why do we feel so differently about these 2 cases? Why does pulling a lever to divert a threat feel acceptable to many, while pushing a person to stop that same threat feels wrong to almost everyone? Exploring this difference helps us understand that our moral decisions are not always based on simple calculations. There are other factors at play, including our emotions, our sense of personal involvement, and our deep-seated beliefs about the sanctity of a human life. The strong negative reaction to pushing the man off the bridge reveals something important about our moral psychology. The difference between pulling a lever and pushing a person is the difference between indirect and direct harm. When you pull the lever, you are diverting a pre-existing threat. The trolley is already out of control, and you are simply changing its direction. The death of the 1 person on the side track feels like a side effect of saving the 5. Even though it is a predictable one. You did not create the threat to that person, you only redirected it. In contrast, pushing the man off the bridge involves using him as a tool. He was not in any danger before you decided to involve him. You are introducing a new threat to him specifically to solve a different problem. You are treating him as a mere object, a means to an end. This violates a deep moral principle that many people hold, often without even realizing it. The philosopher Immanuel Kant argued that we should always treat human beings as ends in themselves, never merely as a means to an end. Pushing the man is a clear violation of this idea because you are using his life to save others without his consent. This distinction between direct and indirect harm is powerful. Physically touching someone and causing their death feels much more personal and morally reprehensible than pulling a lever from a distance. The lever creates a sense of detachment. Pushing the man requires a deliberate physical act of violence against a specific individual. This physical and emotional closeness to the act of killing makes it much harder to justify, even if the numbers seem to support it. Our emotional response recoils from the idea of such a direct and personal violation of another human being. This is why our moral intuitions can sometimes conflict with pure logical reasoning. A simple utilitarian calculation says the outcome is all that matters, so both scenarios should have the same answer. But our feelings tell us there is a profound moral difference between them. This suggests that our moral framework is more complex than just adding up lives. It includes rules about how we can treat other people. The idea that you cannot just use someone as an object, even for a good cause, is a cornerstone of many ethical and legal systems. It protects individual rights against the demands of the greater good. Let's move the problem from the trolley tracks to a hospital. Imagine you are an emergency room doctor. A terrible bus accident has just happened, and 6 patients are brought to your hospital in critical condition. You quickly assess their injuries. 5 of them have serious, but manageable injuries. You can save all 5 of them, but it will take you the entire night to do so. The 6th patient, however, has extremely severe and complex injuries. It will also take you the entire night to save just this one person. You do not have enough time or resources to help everyone. You face a choice. Do you spend your entire night working to save the one patient with the most severe injuries? Or do you spend your night working to save the 5 patients with less severe, but still fatal injuries? In this scenario, you cannot save everyone. You must choose whom to help. This situation is different from the trolley problem because you are not actively harming anyone. You are choosing who to save. But like the trolley problem, it forces you to decide on what basis you will distribute your life-saving resources. What is the right thing for the doctor to do? Most people, when presented with this case, agree that the doctor should save the 5 patients. The reasoning here aligns very strongly with the consequentialist or utilitarian view we discussed earlier. The goal of a doctor is to save lives and reduce suffering. In this situation, the doctor can either save 1 life or save 5 lives. The choice seems clear. Saving 5 lives produces a much better outcome than saving only 1. The principle of doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people seems to apply perfectly here. This scenario feels less complicated for many people than the trolley problem. Why? Because the doctor is not killing anyone. The doctor is choosing who to save from an existing danger, their injuries. The patient who is not chosen dies from their injuries, not because the doctor did something to harm them. This feels very different from pulling a lever to kill one person or pushing a man off a bridge. The doctor's role is to allocate limited resources in the most effective way possible. In medicine, this type of decision-making, known as triage, is a necessary and accepted practice in emergency situations. Let's consider one final story, also in a hospital. Imagine you are a brilliant transplant surgeon. You have 5 patients who are all in desperate need of an organ transplant. 1 needs a new heart, 2 need new lungs, 1 needs a new liver, and the 5th needs a new kidney. Without these transplants, all 5 of them will die very soon. Unfortunately, there are no available organ donors. You have no way to save them, and their time is running out. They will all die within the next day. Then, a healthy young person comes into your office for a routine checkup. This person is a perfect match for all 5 of your dying patients. You realize you have a shocking choice. You could secretly and painlessly kill this healthy patient and use their organs to save the 5 people who are dying. No one would ever know what you did. You would be sacrificing 1 healthy person to save 5 others. Should the surgeon perform this act? Should 1 person be killed to provide the organs needed to save 5 others? The answer here, for almost everyone, is a resounding no. The idea of a surgeon killing a healthy patient to harvest their organs is monstrous. It feels like the ultimate violation of medical ethics and basic human rights. Even though the numbers are the same as in the original trolley problem, sacrificing 1 to save 5, our moral intuition screams that this is wrong. It is a clear case of murder. The healthy person has a right to their life, and that right cannot be taken away just because their organs could help others. This is a line that almost no one is willing to cross. This final scenario makes the moral stakes incredibly clear. It shows the limits of simple utilitarian thinking. If we only cared about the greatest good for the greatest number, then killing the healthy patient would be the right thing to do. It would result in a net gain of 4 lives. But our profound rejection of this idea shows that we believe in something more: individual rights. We believe that every person has a fundamental right to life that cannot be violated, even for the benefit of others. This is why pushing the man off the bridge felt so wrong, and why the transplant surgeon case is the most horrifying of all. These stories, the trolley, the man on the bridge, the doctor and the surgeon, are not just clever puzzles. They are tools that help us explore the deepest questions of morality. They show us that deciding what is right and what is wrong is not always simple. Our decisions are often guided by competing moral principles. On one hand, we want to produce the best consequences and save the most lives. This is the consequentialist principle. It is logical, practical, and focuses on the well-being of the majority. It is the reason many of us would pull the lever. On the other hand, we also believe that there are certain duties and rules that we must follow. We believe that some actions, like killing an innocent person, are wrong in themselves, regardless of the outcome. This is the deontological principle. It emphasizes individual rights and the idea that people should not be used as mere tools. This is the reason most of us would not push the man off the bridge or allow the surgeon to kill the healthy patient. Our moral lives are a constant negotiation between these two powerful ways of thinking. These thought experiments reveal the conflicts within our own moral beliefs. They force us to confront uncomfortable questions. When is it okay to sacrifice one for the good of many? Do the ends always justify the means? What rights does an individual have that cannot be taken away, even for a good cause? There are no easy answers to these questions. Different people, and even different cultures, may arrive at different conclusions. What seems obvious to one person might seem wrong to another. The value of thinking about these problems is not in finding a single correct answer. The value is in the process of thinking itself. By wrestling with these difficult choices, we become more aware of our own moral principles. We learn to listen to the reasons of others and to understand different points of view. These are not just abstract philosophical games, they connect to real-life dilemmas in politics, medicine, and law. Thinking about a runaway trolley helps us become more thoughtful and critical citizens when we face the hard moral questions that arise in our own lives and in our society.